Okay. I'm Madam Eva, a biology teacher from Educare TZ, and I'm here to take you through some series of lectures of topics of biology. And in our today's session, we will continue with our topic of genetics form 4. And here we will continue with our subtopics in which we will deal with the subtopic of Mendelian's law of inheritance and the principles of inheritance. Starting with the principles of inheritance, we can see inheritance is the basis of heredity, where traits are passed on from one generation to the next generation. Tunapozungumzia inheritance, tunazungumzia kile kitendo ambacho traits zinakuwa passed kutoka generation moja kwenda kwenye generation nyingine. And here we can see each chromosome has nitrogenous bases arranged in a particular sequence to form a nucleotide sequence. Kama tulivyoona kwenye section iliyopita, tuliona kwamba chromosomes huwa ina contain genes ambazo genes zinabeba zile heredity informations, na kila chromosomes ina contain genes ambazo zinakuwa located kwenye loci, ambako hapo ndipo genes zinakuwa stored na zinachukua taarifa kutoka generation moja kwenda kwenye generation nyingine, ama kutoka kwa parents kwenda kwenye offsprings. Also, each specific part that controls the inheritance of characteristics in DNA is called the gene, kama nilivyoeleza. And here tunaenda kuangalia Mendel's experiments. Tukizungumzia Mendel's experiment, we have to remember that mtu ambaye alidili na mambo ya inheritance ni Gregory Mendel, ambaye alifanya experiments kwa ajili ya ku dig more on the concept of inheritance. And here you can see that Gregory Mendel began a series of experiments to find out how traits are passed from one generation to the next generation. At that time, it was thought that parent traits were blended together in their offspring. At this time of Gregory Mendel, alikuwa na investigate on how traits zinakuwa inherited ama zinakuwa passed from parents to offspring. And here akajua kwamba according to his findings at this time, ikaonekana kwamba the traits of offspring are the result of the parent or parent traits blended together. Also, Mendel discovered inheritance patterns by studying the common garden pea. Kivipi Mendel alifanya uchunguzi wake? Alitumia garden pea. And here we are going to look on the reasons for why Mendel decided to choose garden pea as the media for his experiment. Reason ya kwanza, we can see the plant mature in a short time also produce viable offsprings from the crosses. Hizo reason tumeona kwamba reason ya Mendel kutumia garden pea na situmie another kind of organism ni kwamba hizi garden pea zina capability ya kumature for a short period of time. Thus hii sifa ilikuwa inamsaidia Mendel kuweza kufanya uchunguzi wake kwa wepesi zaidi ndani ya muda mfupi. Pia sifa ya zile pale garden pea ambayo ilimvutia Mendel kuweza kuchoose ilikuwa ni kwamba those garden peas are capable of producing viable offsprings from crosses. Tukisema viable offsprings kwamba ni zile offsprings ambazo ziko capable for further reproduction. Another reason is that garden pea produces many seeds at once. Also, garden pea are perfect bisexual flower that contains male and female parts which can be manipulated during pollination. Sababu zingine ndo kama tunaona kwamba garden pea ilikuwa na uwezo wa kuweza kuzalisha lots of seeds per single reproduction. Also, garden pea walikuwa ni bisexual in such a way that ilimsaidia Mendel kuweza kufanya investigation yake kupitia this kind of organism, kwa sababu during pollination our garden pea wanaweza kufanya pollination within themselves kwa sababu wana consist both male and female sexual parts. Again, we can see garden peas show many phenotypical contrasting characters, making it possible to have a wide selection of traits to deal with at a time. Tunavyoangalia tena another reason ambayo ilimfanya Gregory Mendel choose garden pea ni kwamba hizi garden peas zilikuwa zina display a lot of contrasting characters, zilikuwa zina lots of traits ambazo zilikuwa zinatosha kwa Mendel kuweza kudetermine ni kivipi traits zinakuwa passed from one generation to another. And now we are going to look on the Mendel's experiment, which were based on 7 distinct traits of peas. These were qualitative traits that could easily be measured and assigned value as dominant or recessive traits. And we have to note that the modern genetics start with experiments and the principles proposed by Mendel. Thus, Mendel is regarded as a father of modern genetics. Kitu kingine ambacho tunabidi tunoti hapa kwa scientist Gregory Mendel ni kwamba aliweza kudili na 7 traits ambazo zilikuwa ni qualitable kumsaidia yeye kufanya easily investigation. Also, today's concepts of genetics are the results of Gregor Mendel investigation, and thus we can call the Gregor Mendel a father of genetics. Na sasa tunaenda kuangalia hizo traits ambazo scientist Gregory Mendel alidili nazo kuweza kutuvumbulia jambo la genetics ama inheritance. Now we can see in this table first trait ambayo Mendel aliconsider ilikuwa ni seed shape, ambapo tutaconsider dominant trait na recessive trait. As we talk, tumesema kwamba Mendel alitumia hizo 7 characters ama traits kwa ajili ya kusaidia kugundua which one are dominant and which are recessive. Na nao tutaangalia sifa ambazo alitumia, dominant yake na recessive yake. I think nikisema dominant na recessive naeleweka vizuri. Tukiangalia na kuanza na character ya kwanza ambayo ni seed shape, dominant ilikuwa ni round shape, lakini recessive yake ilikuwa ni wrinkled shape. Another trait ilikuwa ni pod color, ambako pod color tunazungumzia color ya ile tuseme ule mmea au tunda la ule mmea kava lake la nje. Dominant akatuambia kwamba ilikuwa ni green but recessive ilikuwa ni yellow. Na when we talk about pea tunazungumzia njegere. Another character ambayo Gregory Mendel alitumia is seed color, ambapo kwenye seed color for dominant one akaconsider the pea as yellow na for recessive one akaiconsider kama green. Also on the pod shape, for dominant it was inflated but for recessive was constricted. Kwenye shape ya ile pod ama tuseme kasha la zile njegere, kwa dominant njegere zote ambazo zilikuwa zina dominant trait ya pod shape walikuwa na inflated shape, lakini zote ambazo zilikuwa recessive zilikuwa na constricted shape. On the issue of flower color, for dominant one was purple but recessive was white, and on the trait of flower position, for dominant was axile but for recessive ilikuwa at the terminal side. When we talk about stem length ambao ni 7th trait, stem length kwa hizi hapa dominant, Gregory alituambia kwamba the stem length kwa dominant P zilikuwa ni long, height yake ilikuwa ni kubwa ukikompare na zile recessive one ambazo zilikuwa ni dwarf. And now after looking on this trait tutaenda kuangalia Mendel's procedures. Hapo kwenye Mendel's procedures tunaangalia ni procedures gani ambazo bwana Mendel aliziconsider katika investigations yake ya kuweza kugundua how traits can be transformed from one generation to another. The first procedure is that Mendel chose pure line planties. Alichagua pure line planties, na here unaweza ukajiuliza nini maana ya pure line planties. Tunapozungumzia pure line planties ni those planties in which they are capable of producing offsprings of their kind. Yaani wana uwezo wa kuzalisha offsprings ambao wana characters ambazo ni the same as what they possess. Hiyo ndo procedure ya kwanza ya Mendel. The second procedure, he choose one trait to deal with at a time. Gregory Mendel also choose the one trait. If it were the seed shape, alideal na seed shape at a time. After then, kama ilikuwa ni tuseme ilikuwa ni stem height, alidili tu na stem height. Kwa alidili na one character at a time. Also, he prevented self-pollination. Another procedure ambayo alitumia bwana Gregory Mendel ni kuprevent self-pollination. Instead akaruhusu cross-pollination ili kuangalia the variation of traits between parents, kwa sababu kama itafanyika self-pollination hatutaweza kupata kujua kwamba traits zinakuwa passed, zinakuwa transmitted ama transformed kivipi kutoka kwa parents kwenda kwenye offspring, kwa sababu kitakachozaliwa ndo kile kile. Aliprevent self-pollination kwa lengo la kujua ni kivipi traits zinaweza zikawa blended na zikawa transformed kutoka kwenye kwa parents kwenda kwenye offsprings. Also, on the other hand, the result of his experiment showed that only one character was phenotypically expressed in the first filial generation. When he allowed F1 generation to interbreed among themselves, he obtained the F2 generation, which had a mixture of characters in the ratio of 3:1. And here we'll go to see the table so that we can understand it deeply. Hapa tunaangalia kwamba Gregory Mendel results zake zilikuwa zinaonyesha kwamba alifanya crossing ya parents kwa generation ya kwanza ikatoa first filial generation, ambako first filial generation ilitoa dominant characters. Tukisema dominant characters ni one character ilidominate zingine ikazimaski kiasi kwamba all offsprings walionekana the same, but after crossing that offsprings kwa ajili ya kupata second filial generation, those masked traits zikawa expressed. And now tutaenda kuangalia hizo traits ambazo zilikuwa expressed zinaitwaje na zile ambazo zilikuwa masked zinaitwaje. Before tuangalie hii table kwa ajili ya kuelewa zaidi, we can see aliweza kutumia hizi karakta zake na alidili na karakta moja at a time. Mfano tukizungumzia seed shape, parent 1 walikuwa round, parent 2 wakawa wrinkled, wakawa crossed, lakini F1 generation wakapatikana wote ni round. Kwa hiyo hii wrinkled character ikawa masked, but on crossing F1 generation hii masked character ikawa displayed kwenye F2 generation, wakapatikana 3:1. The other traits the same. And now tutaenda kuangalia the interpretation of this table, in which the interpretation of the results was that every hereditary trait is controlled by two different factors, one from each parent, and these factors are units of inheritance that the pea plant pass on to future generations, which were later called genes. Kwa hiyo according to Mendel's experiment, inaonekana kwamba traits zinakuwa contributed internally na parents wote wawili. Traits zote zinatoka kwa parents wote wawili, lakini wenyewe ndo main contributors. Also, tutaangalia from our table, it is also obvious that the characters that were expressed in the F1 generation were controlled by dominant genes, whereas those that were masked in the F1 and reappeared in the F2 were controlled by recessive genes. And here niliwaambia kwamba tutajua zile character ambazo zilikuwa expressed kwenye F1 generation na zile ambazo zilikuwa masked zinaitwaje. Zilizokuwa expressed zinaitwa dominant gene, but ambazo zilikuwa masked tunaziita recessive gene. Now we are going to look the a conclusion in a summarized way. When we concluded the Mendel's experiment in a summarized way, we can get into 3 points. The first point, the inheritance of each trait is determined by hereditary units called genes, which are passed from one generation to another without changing. Hapa tutakuja kudetermine kwamba ile inheritance ya traits inakuwa done through hizo tunaziita genetic units ambazo zinaitwa gene, na hizi zinakuwa passed from one generation to the next, ama tunaweza tukasema kwamba from parents to their offsprings. Also tukiangalia another point of conclusion, an individual offspring inherits one of those units from each parent. Tumesema kwamba traits zinakuwa carried in your units called gene. Hizo gene here on the second point of conclusion, you can see that those genes zinakuwa passed to the offsprings from their parents. Again, we can see the third point of conclusion of Mendel's, a trait may not be expressed in an individual offspring but can still be passed on to the next generation. Hapa tunaona kwamba hizo traits hazibaki kwa ile generation tu, au haiwezi ikawa individually expressed but also inaweza kuwa transmitted to the next generation na offspring wakai acquire pia. And now tunaweza kuona kwamba we have passed through a lots of concepts, and I hope you get well our today's lecture of principles of inheritance. And now I welcome you to try some sort of question from our task of today. And here we have 2 questions, in which our first question, you have to define the term inheritance as well as the meaning of gene. I hope tumesoma na if ulikuwa unafuatilia, you will be capable to answer these questions. Again, we studied on the reasons on why Mendel chose to work with Garden Pea. You are required to outline the reasons for why Mendel chooses to work with Garden Pea. And these are some sort of questions which may appear in your examinations. Thank you for following our media, Educare TZ, and I hope you will be together with us in the followed sessions. Thank you and welcome.